In my last video, I spoke about remembrance, and of course, an underlying theme in it was that of responsibility. The responsibility felt by those who served, and the responsibility we have to those who gave everything in the service of our country. Today I want to apply that principle to something very current. What responsibility do British organisations, especially publicly funded ones, have when they report the news? My argument is simple. They should report it accurately and in context, not shape it. That isn't about liking or disliking any politician, it's about standards. In the UK, these standards are codified. Ofcom's broadcasting code says that news, in whatever form, must be reported with due accuracy and presented with due impartiality, and that significant mistakes should be acknowledged and corrected quickly. Those rules exist to protect public trust, particularly around elections. Let me ground this in the recent BBC case that's prompted so much debate. In late October 2024, a BBC Panorama programme titled Trump, A Second Chance included material from President Trump's speech on the 6th of January 2021. Over the last few days, the BBC chair has publicly acknowledged an error of judgment over the way that speech was edited. Director General Tim Davie and BBC News Chief Deborah Turnez have resigned. President Trump has threatened a $1 billion lawsuit alleging the edit was misleading. However anyone feels about politics, those are the key facts on record. So why does this matter so much? Why does this matter so much? Well, it's because the BBC's mission under its Royal Charter is to act in the public interest and to provide impartial, high-quality output. The BBC's own editorial guidelines state that it must not knowingly and materially mislead audiences and should correct serious factual errors quickly and clearly. These are the yardsticks by which the public, and indeed regulators, judge our national broadcaster. So where's the line between rigorous reporting and something that looks like interference? Robust reporting means tough scrutiny, clearly labelled analysis, and short, fair excerpts used in context to illustrate a point. It becomes problematic when editing or omission materially changes meaning, especially around an election, because the effect on the audience is what erodes trust. In this case, the BBC has accepted that the editing decision was an error. Motive is contested, effect is not. And it's not unique to this story or this broadcaster. There's a pattern across countries and outlets where editing or presentation crosses the line from clarifying to misleading, and the consequences are real. In 2004, during the US election season, CBS aired a 60 Minutes report relying on National Guard documents about George W. Bush that could not be authenticated. CBS apologised and senior producers left. An independent panel led by former US Attorney General Dick Thornburgh and AP's Louis Bocardi documented the failures. The lesson was simple. Accuracy failures at scale break trust. In 2012, NBC broadcast an edited version of George Zimmerman's 911 call that altered the meaning of his words. NBC apologised and dismissed staff after an internal review. The network told Reuters the edit was a mistake, not deliberate. Again, one splice changed audience perception and required swift correction. In 2019, ABC aired footage from a Kentucky gun range as if it were from Syria. The network removed the clip and apologised. Mislabelled visuals can mislead just as powerfully as a cut in the audio. We have UK comparators too. In 2011, an ITV current affairs film mistakenly used video game footage in a Gaddafi IRA documentary. Ofcom later judged the programme materially misleading and said it had significantly breached audience trust. That language tells you how regulators view the importance of accuracy in powerful visual media. And if we look specifically at accountability at the BBC, there are two well-known examples. The Hutton inquiry into BBC reporting on the Iraq dossier culminated in 2004 with strong criticism of BBC editorial processes and the resignation of senior leaders. More recently, Lord Dyson's 2021 report found serious editorial failings around the 1995 Princess Diana interview, and the BBC apologised extensively. Different stories, different eras, but the same core message. For a public broadcaster, accuracy and fair presentation are existential. For me, there are three constructive guardrails in any newsroom, or independent creator, should want to live by. First, show enough context to preserve meaning. If you cut for time, signpost it, say edited for length or excerpt, and, where possible, point audiences to a fuller source. Second, never splice in a way that changes the sense of what was said, especially if lines were far apart in the original. If you must restructure for clarity, disclose it. Third, correct fast and prominently when you slip, and make sure corrections are visible where audiences encountered the error. These aren't my rules. They're built into Ofcom's framework for due accuracy and due impartiality. A quick note for UK creators using short clips for critique or review. There is a limited fair dealing exception in UK law. Fair dealing for criticism, review, quotation or reporting current events can be lawful if your use is fair, proportionate and accompanied by sufficient acknowledgement. It's not a blank cheque and this isn't legal advice, but it exists to allow scrutiny and debate while respecting rights. So here's my conclusion. British organisations absolutely should cover US politics in detail and without fear or favour. But when production choices alter meaning, intentionally or not, it looks like interference and it damages trust at home and abroad. The recent BBC case underlines why the standards of due accuracy and due impartiality matter, why corrections must be fast and clear, and why the audience deserves to see enough context to make up its own mind. If we reject a particular edit when it harms our side, we shouldn't accept it when it harms theirs. That's the only consistent way to defend public interest journalism. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you again.